Hello, hello, welcome. Welcome to another day of what the fuck is going on with my country. It's Friday at least, so we have that going for us. But this was not a very good week. We're coming off that high, coming off that bad bunny high. And we got Epstein drops, we got ice drops, we got fucking Pam Blondie drops. We have depravity of the highest, a sickness of the highest order in our government, actively covering up for billionaire pedophiles, for billionaire abusers of women and girls. And there is a percentage of our country that just doesn't care. There's a percentage of our country that still support this. And I just want to know, what is the tipping point for people? I thought we all could get behind protect the kids. I mean, that's their number one reason for deporting people. It's like, oh, we got to protect our children. We got to protect Lincoln Riley. You know, if we had deported that guy, Lincoln Riley would still be alive. Well, here we are, trying to protect our kids, and they're like, no, not those kids. No, we don't want we don't want to protect the kids from Donald Trump. We don't want to protect the kids from Lex Wessner. We don't want to protect the kids from Leon Black. We don't want to protect the kids from Howard Lutnick. No, that's silly. Don't be silly. Don't be ridiculous. We protect the kids from immigrants, not white Americans. White Americans, they can do what they want. Okay, but immigrants, no. If they're an immigrant and they are hurt somebody, they have to go to jail and they have to be deported right away. That's the USA government. And I don't like that. I think we should change that. I think that no matter if you're an immigrant or a white billionaire who's friends with the president, you should be going to jail. 110%.
Video, I think it was yesterday, telling people that I was going to show them an image from the Epstein files. It's redacted. You can't see the person's face or any of the stuff that you shouldn't be seeing anyway. But it was of a girl that was
Nobody wants you.
maybe 9 years old, standing on a set of stairs.
Oh, this one.
And pulling her shirt up and her shorts down.
Her underwear.
And
It's not her shorts. She pulled her underwear down and is showing. That's what I'm saying. Like, I haven't looked at the actual files. And I'm glad I didn't, because there's child porn all throughout it. And if that's not enough to open an investigation and to put people in jail, I mean, what the fuck are we doing? What the fuck are we doing? I've said it many times. I was like, you know what? I think the Epstein files is gonna come out that, Trump bought a bunch of hookers. Adult hookers. That's what I thought was gonna happen. And I was like, it's gonna be a nothing burger. We're gonna move on, and we're gonna have to deal with 3 years of this presidency. Nope. Not just hookers. They were trafficking children, and these men were paying to sleep with children, paying for child porn, paying to make videos, and probably blackmailed with videos of them abusing children. So, and this old lady, she's like, oh, it's not pedophilia if they're 16. It's like, yeah, okay, shut the fuck up. We don't want our 16-year-olds to be sexualized. We don't want our 16-year-olds to be abused by older rich men. Doesn't matter that technically the term is used incorrectly there. 16, you're still a fucking kid. 16, you're not able to consent to be trafficked by fucking rich white men. It is fucking crazy, bro. So, what do we do? What do we do with these people that are still defending motherfucking Edge?
And there was a still photograph taken in.
They're still defending these men. Still defending. I like the Urban Dictionary update. Bondi. Bondi is a woman who defends predators and abusers of girls. I like that, but like, how are we gonna come out on the other end of this better? How is that gonna happen?
No, taken of her, and all of the parts in her face were blurred out. And I did a video saying you guys should not be turning away from this stuff. This is the shit that people need to understand we're dealing with, and especially the people in MAGA. And this person here, who's not MAGA, is one of many people that feels this way. My stomach just turned.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw a picture of a little girl tied up with a dress on a bed, like some sort of grape fantasy, like, oh, I just pray that we do find a way for them to get justice. And a lot of people are calling for public executions, and I'm kind of on that train too. I am pro death penalty, pro death penalty, 100%. That's why I'm a bad fucking Christian.
Here's some more.
Oh shit.
How old do you think that girl is? I've shown this video or this image in another video. How old do we think she is? No.
Like, and at first, these could be innocent photos.
Could be exactly.
These could be innocent photos, but the way that these people operated, more likely than not, then these were children trafficked from around the world. Turkey is doing an investigation because the time that Epstein was active and, very heavily involved in the trafficking of children, a lot of young girls went missing from Turkey, and so they're trying to track if that was one of their like sources of children. Like, oh my Jesus.
What we think it is. These girls are. Yeah, 8, 9.
Like, if you're saying, if you're like, say her name, Lincoln Riley, say her name, Lincoln Riley, if her death fired you up, if her abuse and attack fired you up, but this didn't, like, you weren't mad about what happened to that young woman. You're mad that an immigrant did it to that young woman. We're mad that anything happened to these young girls and women, regardless of who did it. But you're just mad at an immigrant for doing it to these young girls, to that young woman. There's something wrong with you. There's something fucking wrong with you, okay?
The folks, not the woman who left the comment, but the folks on the right who are trying to figure out a way to explain this away, to excuse this, to tell us to move on from it, to tell us it's a Democratic hoax, to tell us that this is just a ploy to get Trump. These folks on the right who are doing this, they need to understand. The world views you as protecting a pedophile. The world views you as being okay with girls like that being trafficked. And based on what we've seen in the Epstein files, worse than trafficked. This is all of the shit that they ever said was going on that we went, come on. Remember when Roseanne Barr went fucking nuts on stage and said, they're eating babies, and that's true.
Might be true. It might be true. That's the level of depravity that has happened in that man's circle. There are 100%. I mean, multiple women who accuse Jeffrey Epstein of abuse or being trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein to him and his friends have said that they were forced to get abortions and they killed the baby in front of them, like things like that. Trump says that people have abortions at like 8 months, 9 months, abortion and stuff. Yeah, him and his fucking, what is that, Ohio State gynecologist or the Harvard gynecologist? Yeah, whatever. One of those gynecologists were probably doing that for fucking Epstein and his friends. Where's Riley Gaines? Where's Riley Gaines? We gotta protect the girls, Riley. Protect the girls. Come on, help us out, Riley.
Have you read some of the shit in the Epstein files? It is every off-the-wall, insane, super elite, secret society bullshit you have ever thought of or ever imagined in your... It's all of it. It's all of it. At this point in time, Lord only knows how many were actually trafficked and how many never made it out alive. That's how bad it is.
Like, what is this? This is not good. None of this is good for this administration. It looks fucking terrible.
It looks fucking terrible. It's not good for the administration. That's what you're going with, Joe. Joseph. That is what you're going with? That is not good for this administration. It's not a good look, my guy. It's not a good look for this country. Like other countries today, last week a former prime minister had a diplomatic immunity from all charges. Their government removed that diplomatic immunity for the former prime minister, and then today they fucking arrested him because he is implicated in the motherfucking Epstein files. Okay? There is a crown prince. There is a crown prince who is implicated in the motherfucking Epstein files, and he's going to trial for grape charges, okay? Oh my God.
The largest podcasters in the world, Joe Rogan, just slammed the Trump administration for their complete mishandling and cover-up of the Epstein files, which means it's that time of the month. It is time for Joe Rogan's monthly realization that he aided and abetted a monstrous administration and helped Trump return to power. It's time for Joe Rogan's monthly realization that the Trump admin is quite literally monstrous. Last month, if you'll remember, after Renee Nicole Good was executed in Minneapolis, Joe Rogan had the heart to do a quick 5-minute segment about how Trump is hyper-militarizing ICE, about how they are abusing their force, and he even compared them to the Gestapo. But after that, he was quiet for about a month on the administration. He was rather silent, and now he is popping his head back up to express his misgivings once more. The reason why I'm painting a picture of him just popping up every few months is because it quite literally is not enough. You cannot help Donald Trump get back into power by sane-washing him and laundering his image and allowing him to spread election lies on your podcast, and then 1 year into his term, roughly, 13 months into his term, be shocked that you voted for somebody who is abusive to immigrants, who is a sexual abuser, who is a likely, allegedly pedophile, and much, much more. Before we even play this clip, I thought this graphic was very, very interesting. It shows that Joe Rogan, he holds the record for hosting the most close associates of Epstein without actually uncovering anything of substance. He somehow had on Donald Trump, who is littered throughout the files, and Joe Rogan didn't break any ground on Epstein. He had Kash Patel on while Kash Patel was actively covering up the files, and they even talked about Epstein. Joe Rogan didn't push back. Peter Thiel he had on, who was emailing with Epstein in the files. He didn't undercover anything. Joe Rogan had on Peter Attia. He had on Elon Musk, who even tried to get in the files. He had on Lawrence Cross. He's had on many, many people who were in the files, and Joe Rogan quite literally broke zero ground whatsoever. So now, I mean, it's fine if he's horrified by the Epstein files. I think all of America is absolutely horrified by the Epstein files. But dude, you were the one that aided and abetted the image of Donald Trump and allowed him to get into office and cover this up. Either way, let's walk through all of this. We're going to watch some Joe Rogan, some Tim Dillon, and we're going to break down what the podcast world thinks about all of this. So drop a like, subscribe to the Adam Mockler feed for more pro-democracy news. Let's start here.
So
this was Joe Rogan's podcast from about a week ago.
whether or not demons exist, if they did exist, that is how they would behave. They would prey on children and torture children. And there was the one where there was a suggestion when a child was praying to Jesus that, like, there was a joke that someone should dress up like Jesus.
Did
you see that one, Jamie?
No, I'm not watching this
I don't
stuff.
even want to. I don't even want. People send it to me, and I go, okay, because I'm.
Bruh, yeah, nobody wants to deal with this shit. Nobody wants to see. I skipped the last video. I skipped the fucking bad pictures, and like they're technically not even corn, you know, but this is the reality that we're dealing with, and we're dealing with the government that's protecting the men involved. And you helped get that man elected. One of the reasons why you wanted to get this man elected was to get this information out there. So, like, shouldn't you have some responsibility in getting this man out? Shouldn't you be actively working to get this man out? Like, why are you running from the truth that you wanted for so long? You can't handle the truth!
For the most part, off social media. But every now and then someone will send me something that I have to look at. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And these are emails back and forth. There's one of them where Epstein says, I enjoyed the torture video. There's these references to pizza. A lot of references to pizza that are 100% some kind of a code.
Yeah.
And then it brings you back to Pizzagate. She said she felt God's presence next to her when she was in bed. She knows that Jesus watches over her and he helped save her life. And then he writes,
There were a bunch of wild, wild emails. This one that Micah Irfan found is one of the wildest I've seen. Take a look.
Stop. Read this email. Had a fun night last night. Your littlest girl was a little naughty. This is an email in the Epstein files sent to Jeffrey Epstein, and this name right here, it's redacted. Why the hell is this name redacted? Why?
That is a very, very good question from Micah. Here is Tim Dillon, another famous comedian.
It should be a felony. That is a felony for redacting that man's name. Like, I don't think a victim would be saying something like that. That's definitely something a fucking John tells the pimp. That is definitely something, and because there's video evidence and there's photo evidence of them assaulting children. Like, why are we here? There's videos and photos of them abusing kids. I shouldn't have to make videos about it. I shouldn't have to stream about it. I shouldn't have to make sure like all this shit is being spread around. Like, this should just been like, this should have been a rap. This should be a rap. It's like, oh wow, she's really protecting the pedos. Oh, they're really protecting the guys' names. You're really protecting your president. It's like, all right, let's just everybody gots to go. Like, come on, there ain't nope. We need you to leave. We don't want you here anymore.
And podcaster, just
matter of fact,
completely...
you're going to jail. You're going to jail. You're going to fucking jail.
He's slamming the admin and Kash Patel in a very, very satisfying manner.
Friend of the show, Kash Patel, let's see what he got out of it.
Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself?
Himself. There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And the information we have, again, is limited.
So the answer is no one?
For the information that we have.
In the file?
In the case file.
You don't have to be the director of the FBI to see that this guy's trafficking women. He's trafficking underage women. You don't have to be So Kash Patel's a liar. He's a big, fat liar. He's a liar, and he should resign and step down because he's lying. Why is he lying? Why would he tell such a fib? That is a lie. It is a lie, and he's bad at it. He's terrible at it. And we knew it was a lie when he said it. And now it's such a lie, it's actually funny. It's like a junkie who's like, no, man, I'm just tired. Like, we know you're on drugs.
Let's watch Joe Rogan's most recent clip. This is the one in which he says, the administration messed up. He essentially says this does not look good for Trump or the administration. Watch until the end of this clip.
This is the one that I hate the most.
Yeah.
Because this one scares the shit out of me. Because the fear of, we talked about this yesterday with Roger Avery, the fear of these like literally demonic human beings that are running the world and don't give a fuck about human lives and enjoy watching.
Yes, that's Trump. That's who you fucking got elected, bro. What do you mean? What do you fucking mean, bro? Are you? Oh my God! The guy who you got elected, who you helped get elected, is running the world and protecting men who are demonic and did fucking terrible things to young girls and boys.
Watching people being tortured, enjoy watching people killed, participating in ritual sacrifice of people, and they do it in order to show that you're a part of a team, and we know that has always historically been a real thing, and it's been something that you look at in history, you go, God, it's so sick, it's so twisted, it's so disgusting, and everybody wants to thank God that's not happening now. But then when you realize, like, that might have been happening now. Here's one of the craziest ones. The day he was indicted in 2018, The very next day, he ordered 330 gallons of sulfuric acid. Yes, he ordered
I'm sorry, that's not funny.
55 gallons.
That's not funny. Again, the evidence is there that not only did he traffic women, he trafficked girls and boys. And more than likely, I mean, when you are in the dirt like that and you need a problem to go away, you dig a hole. And if you really want a problem to go away, sulfuric acid, okay? In the bathtub. Like, come on, bro.
Gallon drums of sulfuric acid to be delivered to the island. And so there was a lot of people online saying, oh, that was probably for his desalination plant. It's probably like a regular thing they need to order. So then someone else did a deep dive and said, no, this is the first time this was ever ordered.
I checked that again. I saw there was 2 other ones.
Oh, there was 2 other orders?
2017 and 2015.
Oh, so that guy was wrong.
The first one from that company, potentially.
Ah, that makes sense.
Never mind. It was for the desalination fucking plant. Yeah. Definitely totally normal for every 2 years to have to get sulfuric acid. Okay, yeah, okay.
So maybe it was for this desalination equipment, but also that's all.
Who the fuck is making excuses like this? It's like, okay, well, let's go find out. Let's fucking go find out. Like, this is easy. That's just math at this point. Just go to the fucking desalination plant, see how much sulfuric acid they were using, see if that's a normal fucking use, see if they used all of that. You know, that's not very difficult. Oh my god.
A lot of sulfuric acid.
This part is true. Jeffrey Epstein did purchase 330 gallons of sulfuric acid and shipped it to his private island, Little St. James.
You know, if I needed 5 gallons for my desalination equipment, but
right.
239 gallons or whatever it is to burn kids. Yeah. To fucking get rid of bodies.
Well, it's kind of hard to think of any other use for acid, just in general. Right?
Immediately,
so
you think.
Immediately.
Yeah. The other orders, were they that large?
Let me check.
Because here's the other thing. I mean, how long has he been killing people? How long have they been boiling bodies to get rid of them? I mean, if you do have, for lack of better words, let's call it a service, where you allow rich people from foreign governments or whatever, you set it up. I can give you whatever you want.
Right.
Like, what I want to do is I want to kill a hooker. Like, I want to kill her, I want to torture her, and I want to, get rid of the body. Ahmed bin Sulayem sent the torture video to Epstein. This is in 2009. So Epstein was saying that. Where are you? Are you okay? I love the torture video.
Jeez.
I am in China. I'll be in the U.S. second week of May. What the fuck, man? And why is his name redacted? Why would your name be redacted if you're not a victim? Like, this is what's crazy about all this. Like, how come you redact some people and you don't redact other people? Like, what is this? This is not good. None of this is good for this administration. It looks fucking terrible.
Why does it look terrible? Why does it look terrible? Why does it look terrible to redact some men's name and not? Why does it look terrible to fail to redact the women's and girls' names? Why does it look terrible to redact Donald Trump's name and face? Why? Because it makes him look guilty? Oh, shit, bro. Shit, bro. That's it. That's fucking it. It makes him look guilty. Damn, I wonder why. I wonder why he's fucking that. It makes him look so guilty, bro. Maybe because he is.
It looks terrible for Trump when he was saying that none of this was real. This is all a hoax. This is not a hoax. Like, did you not know? Maybe he didn't know, if you want to be charitable. But this is definitely not a hoax. And if you've got redacted people's names and these people aren't victims, you're not protecting the victim. So what are you doing?
Right.
And how come all this shit is not released?
I mean, yeah, we could have noticed this quite literally a year ago when Pam Bondi said the files were on her desk and then nothing came of it. Or 10 months ago when Elon Musk said Donald Trump was in the Epstein files. Maybe 8 months ago when we learned that the FBI had their agents redact Trump's name throughout the files. Maybe we could have figured this out 6 months ago when Trump was melting down on Air Force One, or 4 months ago when they were trying to block the release of these files by...
Yeah, it's like, now he's the president, bro. What you gonna do? Like, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna help?
All right, let's wrap it up with this. So let me throw this up on the screen here. This is in regards to Epstein. From Channel 4 News, Channel 4 has verified spy cam footage inside Jeffrey Epstein's living room, which appears to show the sex offender recording himself with potential victims. The grainy, low-quality footage taken inside his Palm Beach home was buried within the latest release of the Epstein files. Epstein's victims have repeatedly alleged that they were filmed as part of a pattern of exploitation and abuse. So we've known that his New York home was bugged. Because I think it was the New York Times, had a thing where they took pictures in every room. There were creepy things like some bride hanging on the wall or something.
The art is
super creepy.
disturbing.
And he had pictures of like Bill Clinton in a dress and shit like that. But they had cameras in basically every room in the New York place. But, you know, I've had speculated that all of his, if it's in New York, all of his fucking places are bugged. Like, who are we kidding? Of course. This is the first actual verification that we have that there were also cameras in his Palm Beach home. And this is not even the island. The island, I'm sure, is fucking bugged to the high heavens. You saw the dental chair with the masks on the wall. Like, I don't know what's I don't know what's going on there, but that shit is absolutely disgusting. So the takeaway from this is, just like we knew with New York, of course there's pictures, of course there's videos of people who were, you know, frequenting Epstein's business of child trafficking. You know, there's stuff with Prince Andrew, there's stuff with Donald Trump, there's stuff with Bill Clinton, there's stuff with Bill Gates, there's stuff with, Reid Hoffman, there's stuff with Leon Black, who we're going to get to in a minute, by the way. But that's what they're hiding in the Epstein files. Like, to this point, they've only released about 50% of it. They obviously illegally redacted a bunch of stuff. But they're hiding some of the most bombshell stuff that we know there's now pictures and videos of the most powerful people in the world. And so this is why Trump said, like, oh, you're going to hurt my friends if you do this. Like, it would take down any semblance of authority that any world government has if that stuff was actually released. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's important as we evaluate what's in the files to understand that this is the definition of a limited hangout. Like, they were pressured into releasing this portion, and they tried to avoid it. They got backed into a corner where they knew it was this discharge petition and the bill was gonna pass through Congress, pass through the Senate, probably had a veto-proof majority, and Trump was like, all right, I guess I gotta sign this thing, but we're gonna control how it's released. And so I think people need to be very much on guard for, you know, potential information warfare that's planted in this. People need to be very mindful of the fact that we are getting the picture that they've decided they want us to have. And even this number, this, 3 million, there's 3 million documents. Like, where did we get this from? We're taking the government's word for that too. So even
So, yeah, and that's a very good point. But they are allowing Congress people to go in and search the files, and look at the files. A congressperson has to sacrifice their soul and go look at the videos and photos and be like, I just want to look at every video and photo. You could tell them, I want to look at every video and photo that doesn't have Trump or Epstein in it. It's like, you could keep those videos and photos, but if there's a video of photos of a man abusing a child or a woman, I want to go see those videos, and you can call me a pervert, but no, I just want to, put faces to names. Like, okay, this man's with a fucking child, this man's with a child, this man's with a child, and then you could just go from there. Because you know what is 100% affirmative? All these abusers, they kept abusing. Okay, they got away with the crime of the century. The fucking international sex trafficking ring of the century. they fucking got away with it. You think they're gonna go off and get and stop what they're doing? So you identify the abusers, and then you look at their history from that point on. Oh, here's some accusations. Well, maybe we should take those accusations outside of the Epstein files more seriously, and then go from there. Oh, Jesus, bro. This is basic. Like, crime TV. Where's Nancy? What's her name? Nancy Grace. Nancy, where you at on Epstein files, Nancy?
That number to me is suspect of what there really is, and what actually may be available throughout the government.
No, that's absolutely right. And this is not even all of the files. Forgetting the files that we don't know if they have as related to this case or that they're hiding. This is not even the only case, not only the only set of files collected about Jeffrey Epstein, which are not being released as a result of this particular bill in the Epstein Transparency Act, if I'm not mistaken. And so we know that there are files out there, presumably with evidence of co-conspirators or evidence of greater crimes that we're not even entitled to as a result of this release.
Yeah.
I keep quoting Donald Rumsfeld because I can't get it out of my head. They're like, there's known knowns, there's known unknowns, and then there's unknown unknowns. They told us as part of this whole release that they were not going to release things that were extremely violent or extremely sexual, although they did release a lot of nudity of victims. So, they clearly didn't hide that stuff. So what are they hiding? And I think what's coming out in a lot of the,
Yeah, like Crystal said, is like they are controlling what is out. They know that they had to give us something, and they know they couldn't because he's so dirty. He cannot come out clean. Cannot not come out clean of this. So they're like, okay, we'll give them something. It'll implicate him a little bit, but not. We'll keep the worst of the worst, bro. Like, some brave soul has to just fucking take one for the team and go in there and look at those videos, and like just 2 days, 3 days of that's something. Like, people get PTSD for looking at like animals and kids being abused and stuff like that. So it's not something that should be done lightly. But in this case, right now, we just need need that to be done, and be like, okay, like, we have this. We don't even need the full picture. We can just fucking crop out the picture of the abuse and be like, wanted this man.
Senate hearings, or I guess the congressional hearings with Pam Bondi, and some of the questioning that's been engaged in is what kind of investigation was even commenced with? Like, what did you do to theoretically absolve these people?
Right.
Because what we were
Didn't
hearing
talk to the
before was that
victims.
because what we were hearing before is that there was no evidence, but there is evidence. There is clearly evidence that would at least lead you to want to look into it, but they can't seem to account for that. They can't seem to account for whether or not they looked into it, who they spoke to. Like, okay, we have this picture of Prince Andrew mounting over this underage victim, which you've identified as a victim. You're saying it's not a crime that you're pursuing. How did you come to that conclusion? What did you do to actually oh, I guess it looks like a crime. All these weird emails are super suggestive of things that might be crimes. But of course we looked into it, and we totally myth-busted it. They can't even explain that. They just get really defensive.
Yeah. How did you decide not to investigate these potential co-conspirators?
And stuff like, loved the torture video. Stuff like, I'm so happy I didn't kill anybody last night.
Yeah.
Why does he have a trap door at the bottom of Rape Island that goes directly into the water? And why did he buy sulfuric acid the day that they announced the investigation into him? Like this, the idea, it is so insulting to people's intelligence to pretend like there's literally nothing we could do and there's nobody we can investigate.
It was a hoax. It was a total hoax, bro. And I just saw 2 women fucking defending Trump, saying, oh, y'all are batshit crazy, brainwashed, indoctrinated, Trump derangement syndrome. He released the files. It's like, bitch, because we literally passed a law with his fucking with him going against it, we passed a law to do it. He didn't have a fucking choice. Oh shit. Oh my god. And now we have, look at this, Senator John Houston, just like this, took $100,000 from co-conspirator Les Wexner. He accepted donations before he voted to block the Epstein files. Les Wexner is implicated as a co-conspirator and abuser in the fucking Epstein files. Oh, I should make this a TikTok or fucking YouTube. And he voted against releasing the Epstein files because that's what Trump wanted him to do, and that's what his fucking $100,000 donor wanted him to do because he's fucking it. Oh my Jesus. We are looking at the most corrupt government of my lifetime. Absolutely disgusting. This is worse than Dick Cheney fucking lying. They're weapons of mass destruction. Weapons of mass destruction. This is worse than that. 100%.
Nobody we can indict. And with that being said, let me throw this up on the screen for you guys because this is Leon Black, okay? Leon Black is this big-time CEO. And I had done a segment where there was some other writing by one of the victims where she sort of cryptically implies that Leon Black bit her. And it was in the midst of like a longer thing, and that was only one part of it. But I remember thinking, geez, well, that's fucking weird, right? Well, now we get this as well. And Crystal, you were the one who actually flagged this for me, and you looked into it and verified that this is indeed real. This is a document right here. The to and from are both redacted. But it says, May 26, 2023, call with Gene Christensen, Wigdor LLP. And then it says, Leon Black, Wall Street person, 72 or 71 years old now, founded largest private equity global fund that exists today that's publicly traded. One of Epstein's friends, very powerful. Then it says, 7 to 8 years, Black was sexually violent with her. Black bites part of her vagina. Violence was arousing for him. Very painful for her. JC represented victim for civil defamation case, not sexual abuse case. Went to USAO in Manhattan, May or June 2021. JC doesn't represent her anymore. Got a call from the victim woman who said that she heard about lawsuit against Black. Victim said Black raped her around 20 years ago, 2000 or 2001, in Epstein's townhouse. Victim described it, felt pain, like insertion of something sharp in her vagina on massage table with head on floor and legs on shoulders. Excruciating. Spoke with blank at Manhattan DA's office, blank at DA's office. Substance abuse problems in the 1990s, preyed on by Epstein, gave massages to Epstein and Black for money, lives in blank now, abuse happened in New York. And then it goes on to say, minor victim at Epstein's townhouse and was told to give Leon Black a massage, violently raped by Black, 16 years old when raped by Black. And so now there's multiple allegations, not only specifically implicating Black, but specifically this biting fetish thing. There's stuff that's so depraved in here that as a grown-ass man of 38 years old, I didn't even know people were into some shit like that.
Can I give you one more detail?
Go right ahead.
Somehow makes it even more gruesome. So this was a filing in a lawsuit. Of course, Leon Black denies all the allegations, says it's a frivolous lawsuit, blah, blah, blah. He's been sued 3 separate times of women who accused violent rape. In any case, this particular woman, then girl, she has Down syndrome. That leaves her developmentally about 12 years old. These specific allegations come from her.
So yeah, nothing to see here. No investigations, no indictments, no cases, and Pam Bondi's up there saying, let's talk about the Dow Jones. Why aren't we talking about the Dow Jones?
Not just no indictment, like they were saying up until this stuff came out, no evidence of wrongdoing. No evidence of wrongdoing. That now what's become no alleged wrongdoing, or like we have no credible allegations, but it just keeps changing. And the people involved either engage in this total denial that, in my opinion, doesn't really make any sense or sound convincing, or instead of addressing the allegations, they just do that thing where they say, I'm very embarrassed by my relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Like, I'm very embarrassed about that. Okay, well, can you speak to the email? Because from my perspective, the email seemed to be real correspondences, although there's a real question of, are they going to try to plant anything that's not real in there? But it seems more like an operation to curate the information rather than to plant any false information in there, from at least what we've seen so far. If I received an email like that from Jeffrey Epstein that was just full of all these ramblings, full of things that I had never done or never said or anything like that, I would respond like, what the hell? What's going on, Jeffrey, my best friend? And so I think one thing that these emails have disabused people.
A few people, or at least one person in the files who like, don't fucking contact me, your fucking PDF file. Like, I don't want to be associated with you. I don't want to email you. Don't contact me again.
Of that, was I think a little bit more plausible before they came out, was that you could have hung out with Epstein. You could have gone to the island. You could have spent time at his house. You could have been at his club in Palm Beach and just not noticed anything. Because there was this narrative that was floating around for a while that was meant to justify this, that like Epstein was just so smart and charismatic and he was just so like good with money and numbers that like if you were there, if you knew him, you would know how people could be fooled into thinking that he was just a really good guy who was maybe a little like handsy with women. No, when you read the emails, it's clear he was like max pervert. He was like, it was impossible to not get the sense that he was like skeevy. Even Howard Lutnick said that before he was shown to have taken his kids to Epstein Island after he was already on the registry, right? And so I think it's just become so naked that it was impossible to spend, not maybe, you end up at the same party with somebody. He did traffic or like travel in very like moneyed circles. So it's possible to have ended up at a party with him, but I think it's impossible to have hung out with him without at least knowing something was up. And maybe you chose not to look into it.
Fucking asshole.
Maybe a lot of your friends have like weird pervert art in their apartment and their apartments are bugged because that's what rich people do. But it's not reasonable to say that they didn't notice anything.
I mean, it's a literal child trafficking ring, Yes. Epstein had at least a dozen passports of underage girls from the post-Soviet bloc countries.
Yeah.
You don't have those unless you're trafficking. We now know, and CoffeeZilla talks about this.
How
we
you
know some of
trap women in sex trafficking. You fucking get them to come to the country, and then you take away their passport. They can't leave the fucking country. Holy shit! Like, this is not a hoax. This is not a conspiracy. This actually happened to these young women and girls, and our government is covering it up.
Specific scouters and recruiters that he would send out and how much he would pay them for girls of like a different age. We have text messages of him talking about buying and selling girls like they're cars.
I mean, the moment when I realized that narrative of like, oh, he's just so charismatic and we didn't really know what was going on was complete bullshit is when I saw the birthday book. And it wasn't like one or two entries were a little bit edgy.
It was like everyone.
Everyone.
Except Bill Clinton's one,
Yeah, true.
Hey, Jeff, have a good birthday, man.
Everyone is like, this was this guy's whole shit, right? And the creepy like child drawings and stuff. I was like, they all knew what was going on. And one of the things that was just revealed about Trump, of course, Trump had claimed I had no idea what's going on, blah, blah, blah. Now, in one thing that was released is that the Palm Beach police chief said that Trump called them after they had already started investigating and, people had come forward and this was ongoing. It's like, oh my God, I'm so glad you got that creep. He was always doing this terrible stuff. I'm so glad that you're going after him now.
The most suspicious call you could make. It was everything about this is so suspicious. There's like, I think there's so much smoke that to believe that nothing was going on, to believe what they were trying to sell in July, that he was like a lone child trafficker who trafficked thousands of children to only himself, to himself, with no one involved except for the people who we already know were involved. Because that's a big part of this. Like, they only will admit to exactly how much information that is currently available at the time, and everything else is like, well, it's just this. And so he was a lone trafficker, which didn't really make much sense. But if it did make sense, it would still question like how you could spend so much time with this guy without noticing. And even if that were the case, it would get back to your question, earlier about Senator Kennedy, demonic or just that stupid. But either way, it's like, certainly you should not have an outside say in our society. You shouldn't be president if you were hanging out with this guy and you didn't sense something was up, right? Or, it condemns their entire community, which I think is a part of the story, which is that maybe you didn't notice anything thing because preying on the marginalized within your community is so popular and so prevalent that he kind of just blended in. Like, maybe not for everybody, but for some people, like, yeah, there are a lot of rich men who like younger girls who just prey on them. Maybe not always illegally young, but, you know, who, like, that's just the world that they travel in. And maybe he was able to, by nature of that, be a predator hiding amongst predators, because I do think there is an element of that story where a lot of the people who have been, you know, implicated in the Epstein files have other allegations against them. It's like when they say, oh, like, you know, it's impossible to imagine Trump did anything.
That's what I was saying. Exactly what I was saying. 1336.
Everyone say, why is that impossible? He has other non-Epstein related allegations.
Yeah,
Like, he has other non-Epstein related, like, not convictions, but like decisions against him in court. Like, a lot of these people do.
Yeah, and by the way, it is definitely a class thing. Like, it is a class thing.
Oh, yes.
It is when I say there's a shadow government of moneyed interests that run the world, and they are a cabal of pedophile, sadist, billionaire elites. I mean it. And now, before that may have been slightly conspiratorial to say before the Epstein files. Now it's like, they all knew. They know that some of them among each other are fucking cannibals.
And they
know that some are into torture.
And they provide each other insider information that they can trade on. And, you know,
All
if
of it.
anyone thinks of stepping out of the circle, Jeffrey Epstein is like, hey, yo, Bill Gates, you may not want to do business with me anymore. But remember that time you got an STD
That's right.
and I slipped your wife antibiotics? Just saying, that might be a little embarrassing for you if it comes out. It's mutually assured destruction. That is the currency that keeps this whole thing going. And why, you know, like, one of the things I used to hear all the time from Republican defenders of Trump before the Epstein files were released was, well, if this looks so bad for Trump, why didn't the Biden administration release it? Why didn't the Obama administration release it? Like, why didn't Democrats use this information before? And it's like, because this isn't a partisan thing. Right? They're all,
Right?
they didn't want the stuff to come out about them. It erodes.
It shouldn't be a fucking partisan thing. This is an easy layup. Like, oh shit, sex trafficking ring with fucking billionaire men. All right, well, we gotta throw some people in jail. Sorry, you're gonna go to jail for a long time. You shouldn't have abused girls. You shouldn't have expected to get away with that. Like, this is where we're at. But no, they're doubling down. They're like, no, we're going to protect our president. We don't believe you. He's the one exposing them. Even though his name's in the files 1.5 million times, he's definitely fucking not an abuser. What are you talking about? Yes, he's paid for sex before. Of course he has. But not with little girls. Not with little girls. What are you talking about?
It's the entire, like, secret forces of power around the world, and they're all invested in this particular status quo. It is mutually assured destruction. That's how this thing operates, and it's why it was allowed to operate, and continues to operate, by the way, for so long.
And Bill Clinton still speaks at, like, the DNC every fucking year, and Kamala sent him to, like, Michigan
Larry
last
Summers
election.
was on the board of the Center for American Progress until
God.
this latest round, and then they're like, all right,
He's
maybe
another
we gotta...
one. There are heinous allegations against him, too, by the way.
Yeah.
And not just that, they're laughing at us. Because this is all going on behind the scenes, and people accuse them of it, and they're branded as, like, if you point out that there is sort of a coalition of moneyed interests that work together, sometimes explicitly and implicitly to further their interest, people call you David Icke. They say, oh no, like, you believe in reptilians. Oh, you're no different than the people who think that it's like just Jewish people running the world. But, as people who understand that this interest is largely based on class, like, we can see that this has always been, at least the shape of the way the world has worked. I just don't think people were prepared for it to be so literally true. Like,
Exactly.
That's right.
The rich are preying on the weak. And it's like, we knew that was true. And so I think it's easier for, like, people who understood that was always true to believe this part, but it's still so, like, I guess, stark. And I think they were laughing at us. Some of them are still probably laughing at us. Some of them are probably not laughing as much, like Howard Lutnick or Pam Bondi, but for years, for decades, they were laughing at, like, the people. They were laughing at the working class while preying on them financially and also just physically. It's disgusting.
Yeah, and comes back to dehumanization again, too.
And finally, to your point about the Pam Bondi crash out.
Dehumanization. They have made so much money that if you aren't a billionaire or a millionaire like them, you're not really on their level. You're not really a human like them.
Let me throw this up on the screen because The DOJ saved the search history of members of Congress while they were looking through the unredacted Epstein files.
Unbelievable.
And so you can see here, they flipped it the other way because Pam Bondi accidentally showed this when she opened up her binder. But it says, Pramila Jayapal search history. New Brazilian just arrived, sexy and cute, 19 years old. Thank you for a fun night. Your littlest girl was a little naughty. Thank you for a fun night. It was so the same one twice here. And then it goes on. I found at least 3 very good young girl, but was so tired. I will cover up this week. Meet this one, not the beauty queen, but we both likes her a lot. Epstein victim list all redacted. I love the torture video sent from Sulayem to Epstein. Child exploitation and human trafficking task force PowerPoint on the Epstein trafficking. So they have all of the stuff that, like, Ro Khanna was in there, Thomas Massie was in there. They were going through the unredacted Epstein files. Ro Khanna famously outed 6 of the other co-conspirators on the floor of Congress. But, like, the reason they probably did this is because they want to come up with ways to spar back against, like, hey, what did this email mean? Well, that one wasn't as serious as you think because there's this interpretation of it or whatever. Why else would they spy on them when they're looking through the unredacted Epstein files? Clearly, they're trying to use that information to mount some sort of defense, right?
Well, they should try that then. They should actually try to do some of that instead of just doing the yelling thing that Pam Bondi was doing. Pam Bondi's response to that that congressional hearing was so unhinged. I was prepared for it to be sort of like that because that's always how she responds to questioning, but it came across as even more unhinged than normal. And so I would have maybe preferred.
I don't know if unhinged is the word. I think she did a great job of defending Donald Trump and the predators in the fucking trials. Like, if you can't win with the law, and if you can't win with facts, then just make up shit and obfuscate and don't answer the question. Plead the fifth. Like, yeah, that's textbook. She did some good lawyering right there. That's some good lawyer talk right there. You know how you can tell when the lawyer's lying? The mouth is moving.
Heard to hear some actual that torture video, that's just like something innocuous. Or when he's listing those ages that seem like little girls' ages, that's just the number of apples he's buying of different type. They have not said anything like that, really. There has not been really any plausible deniability. There's been a lot of denial, but it's been total. It's been saying, hey, all of these really suspicious emails are not actually suspicious. And that's more or less it. It's been a terrible cover up. But to me, it really goes to show they didn't ever expect that they were going to have to release this stuff and that they're not really prepared to account for it, which I think goes back to the question of was there ever even an investigation? Certainly I think we can say there was never an investigation with the intention of indicting people as co-conspirators of Jeffrey Epstein. Maybe there was an investigation meant to sort of fully map the workings of his organization to understand what blackmail the CIA or FBI could use domestically or internationally. But it doesn't seem like they actually have a good accounting of, the things that you might expect them to have if they actually went through the process of, again, myth busting these claims.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now.
Watch the world leaders one. This one, yeah. This is what's happening around the world while our government is defending.
A lot more difficult for Donald Trump to avoid questions about and accountability around Jeffrey Epstein. And it comes as the world descends on Munich for a security conference in which Donald Trump and his entire cabinet are noticeably absent. Now, filling that void, of course, is Democratic leaders like AOC, Gavin Newsom, of which I think the folks in Munich are probably more excited to see than they would have been a year ago when it was J.D. Vance who came to Europe, by the way, and lectured the entire world on free speech, saying that it was the UK, that it was France, shutting down their citizens and silencing them. Now, I think considering how the last year has played out, we can all see the hypocrisy there as Donald Trump has used the full force of the federal government to cover up the Epstein files. But world leaders are making it a lot more difficult for Trump to do so. And it's coming as one leader in the United States, Ro Khanna, called on them to do just that.
This weekend, the most powerful politicians, tech leaders, finance leaders all head to Munich for their annual conference. Last year, Vice President Vance challenged Munich leaders on freedom of speech. This year, there's a far bigger challenge. These leaders need to confront the Epstein class. In Britain, the monarchy needs to answer about what they knew about the former Prince Andrew and whether there's going to be prosecution. The British government needs to answer for Peter Mandelson. The Norwegian princess needs to answer about her affiliations with Epstein. In Austria, in Sweden, governments need to answer for their affiliation with a convicted pedophile. And in the United States of America, that's sending the biggest delegation to Munich, we need to answer for cabinet members who were affiliated with the convicted pedophile, and we need to answer for some of the biggest elites in tech, in finance, in Hollywood, who were going to Epstein's Island knowing young girls were being raped. I hope at Munich there is a lot of conversation on how we will hold this Epstein class accountable.
This is what we should be doing. We should be leading the world on accountability for the crimes that were committed by Jeffrey Epstein and carried out by every single one of his accomplices. Instead, we are quite literally hiding from that conversation. Do you think that it's a coincidence that Donald Trump doesn't want to be in Munich, that he doesn't want J.D. Vance there as world leaders are moving for accountability for those in their government, past and present, who were involved with Jeffrey Epstein? Do you think as that's happening, Donald Trump wants Howard Lutnick or Scott Bessent or J.D. Vance? I can promise you absolutely not. Those people are well connected within the Epstein circles, within the Epstein class that Ro Khanna refers to, and it is why Donald Trump has had to hide, and it's why Donald Trump is also...
This is how they think. It is, Scrooge. It is. But the world is making arrests. Like, they arrested a former prime minister, bro. And our government is still protecting the men involved.